Thank you. Appreciate everyone being here today. First thing I want to start off by doing is taking you back to 2003. 2003 is the first year that I made a decision to run for city council. And to start off, after being a lifelong entrepreneur, I decided to go downtown and meet all the merchants and business owners and find out what was going on with our downtown and why it wasn't rocking and rolling and why we were having problems. And one memory is so vivid. I went to one business owner and they said, "Oh, you want to run for city council, do you?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "You know what the solution is to fix the downtown?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Come here, I'll tell you. Blow it up and bulldoze the whole thing." And I thought, oh my God, what kind of solution is that? But then I recognized he was frustrated. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. I want to take you back even farther. I was born downtown. I lived with my brother, my parents, and my grandparents' house on the second-story apartment. And we spent the first number of years living there until my parents could afford to move across town and get their own house. But downtown was always the place to be. It's where we went to church. It's where our family was. You went shopping. Well, my mom, when I was young, she even had enough confidence to let me go downtown, take a city bus, go to Rosberg's department store, and there was a contest every year where you were given a number, and you had to see in each department if you had won something. I got to use the elevator. It was a big deal. And then I'd go to Woolworths, and I'd get something to eat, and I'd have maybe a milkshake. You know, I've got memories of going to the Santa Claus Parade downtown. In fact, I remember specifically standing there, sticking my tongue out, trying to catch snowflakes on my tongue. And I remember my mom saying, you know, every snowflake is completely unique. No two are the same. And that always stuck with me. The other thing I remember was going to the chip wagon, Jake's Chip Wagon, for fresh cut French fries. And you'd get them in a little cone with salt and vinegar and a little toothpick to eat them. On a cool day or a Santa Claus parade, you'd eat them. They tasted so amazing. It was just a great experience, all the things that I recall. And you know, in 1952, Marilyn Monroe was downtown Niagara Falls. She was filming her movie Niagara. It was an exciting time, and downtown was rocking and rolling, and it was the soul of the city. Everyone wanted to be there. But something else was happening. There was friction being created at that same time. There was a new retail concept. It was called plazas. There was a plaza where all the businesses would come together and they'd cover it up and they'd give free parking. And it was convenient. You didn't have to go downtown. And then they opened up malls where they enclosed the plaza. Free parking, food courts. And then we had big box stores where they had everything in one store. You could even buy your gas. And the final nail in the coffin for downtown, e-commerce, where you could, with your phone, order and have something delivered to your front door without ever leaving your couch. And that was so frustrating. But let's jump ahead. 75 years after Marilyn Monroe was in our downtown. And what do people want today? Today they want experiential tourism. They want one-offs. They want the anti-franchise, the unique experience. They want to come and eat and drink and hang out where the locals hang out. They want to meet a guy like Jake who runs a chip wagon and try his French fries with a toothpick and get to know him and make him part of their story. And they, in turn, become part of his story. But Niagara Falls is a dichotomy. We're a tale of two cities within one. We're so unique. No city like us anywhere in the world. And I'll tell you right now, we have our downtown, and then we have our tourist downtown. They're 1 mile apart, but so different in so many ways. And, you know, to illustrate, I want to tell you a story. When I was in university, you know, when you first meet other kids, and they ask, where are you from? Where are you from? And I remember I'd say, I'm from Niagara Falls. And they'd say, and they would giggle. And I remember I finally said to the one girl, what's so funny about that? And she said, well, Niagara Falls. And I said, I'm not following you. She goes, well, do you live on Clifton Hill? And I said, and of course, Clifton Hill is the most famous and most fun street in all of Canada, where there's Ferris wheels and go-karts and wax museums and a lot of fun things to do. And I realized we're so misunderstood. We're so famous. We're the Coca-Cola of municipalities. We're an iconic brand around the world, and I've traveled all over the world. You can't find a person who doesn't know Niagara Falls. But we're misunderstood. You know, and we're so famous for these world-class hotels and restaurants and casinos and attractions and golf courses, and the list goes on and on. 14 million people come to Niagara Falls. We're just like every other city, though. We've got churches and schools and subdivisions and parks, but not a good downtown. Why could we not have a good downtown when 14 million people are 1 mile away? What are we doing wrong? We can't even get the locals to come. Well, do you believe we've tried everything? We tried putting all brand new interlock in the downtown, building archways, LED lights, free parking, sound system throughout the downtown, but nothing worked. People didn't come. We weren't sure what was going on. But do you believe that success leaves clues? Well, that put us on a journey to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we met with the mayor, Peduto. And there they were clamoring for them to open up the steel mills again. But he realized that was the past of Pittsburgh. The future was going to be built on healthcare and education. And they were able to take Pittsburgh from Rust Belt to Renaissance. Then we went to Charleston. We met with Mayor Riley. He was the longest serving mayor in America. He ended up serving for 40 years. And he stewarded Charleston, South Carolina after Hurricane Hugo. It was devastating. And he was able to redevelop, revitalize, regentrify their historic downtown by integrating residential with retail. He was a hero. Then we went to New York City, and we went to many downtowns all over to see what they did, looking for clues. And then it resonated with me. Education. We need to do education. So we traveled around the world. China, India, Dubai, Europe, South Korea, all over looking for a university that would want to have a presence in Niagara Falls, a city known the world over to help market their university and give us youth and education in our downtown, similar to what they did in Pittsburgh. We didn't have a lot of success. We had a lot of great meetings, but nothing was clicking. Then I started cold calling every university and college in Ontario. And if they had aligned strategic initiatives, I phoned them. And I remember one funny story. I'm talking to the president of a university. And this university at the time had more students than we had residents in our city. And I said, yes, you need to have a campus in our downtown. And because of our big brand, you'll be able to recruit international students from all over the world. And he's listening. And finally he said, who is this again? I said, have you never been cold called before? He said, no, never. So folks, here we were in Niagara Falls. We set the stage, we lit the candles, we made the dinner, we set the table, and we started the music. And we were waiting for a dance partner to arrive. We wanted someone to dance with us, cheek to cheek, someone who wanted to be with us in Niagara Falls. And who arrives? Gus arrives to dance with us. That's Global University Systems, by the way. And we were so excited because they were such an innovative institution, the largest private university in the world, with 3 medical schools in the Caribbean, engineering schools. They've got law schools in London, England, schools all over the world. And we were so excited. They were innovative. They wanted to take our downtown and change it into Gustown. They were teaching students for jobs that weren't even created yet. They were innovative. They would pivot. They were doing data, digital, AI. It was so exciting. Well, I'm proud to tell you, in April of 2024, they opened up the university in our downtown. And we were so excited. We've been waiting so long for this dance partner to arrive. They were here, and finally, we were going to move forward. But now, have you ever heard that saying? If you see light at the end of the tunnel, make sure it's not a train coming at you. Well, it was a train coming. It was the GO train. And we got the GO train, which is the big commuter train between the greater Toronto area and Niagara Falls. And it's been so wildly successful. With only 3 trains a day, we've got 1.3 million people using it already in our downtown. And to watch thousands of people get off one train with their suitcases, their backpacks, and they're working their way to the tourist core. But now, they see buzz, they feel excitement, feel the vibe. They're turning up the street, and they're going downtown. And they're starting to experience and create experiences in our downtown. An absolutely exciting thing. And now we're expanding all of our roads to connect to all the highways and the freeways, so that all roads will connect to our downtown. So now, the revival begins. And what's happening in our downtown? Well, now the Santa Claus parade is back. We do it at nighttime with lights And thousands of people line our streets. And it ends at City Hall with the lighting of a Christmas tree with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. It's the kickoff of our internationally well-known Festival of Lights, where we light up 3 million trees and animated displays. Things are rocking and rolling. We're opening up now. We're building a 10-story, 360-unit apartment building in our downtown for people to live downtown. Because to be successful, you need to have people living in your downtown. And there's a lot of people that want to be downtown because, once again, it's becoming the cool place to be, the cool place to live. And now, in our downtown, you see people with backpacks, laptops, yoga mats, instead of what we saw before, tumbleweed blowing through our downtown. So as I wrap up, I think back to Mayor Peduto in Pittsburgh. And yes, success did leave us clues, if you're willing to listen and if you aren't going to give up. You know, the key, and that's us, we are not going to give up. And we realize that he did it with healthcare and education, and I'm proud to announce we're 18 months away from opening our $3.6 billion Center of Excellence Hospital in Niagara Falls, and the University of Niagara Falls is now up to 3,000 students and growing in our downtown. And maybe it's not what you'd call Rust Belt to Renaissance, but it's an absolute revival of our downtown, the heart and the soul of Niagara Falls. And we're not doing it with bricks, we're doing it with people. So welcome to Niagara Falls Downtown 2.0. Thank you very much. Thank you.